Hey there, it's Ben from Pattern Profits bringing you the weekend update and weekly watch list going into the week of October 25th, starting with IWO, our proxy for small cap growth. We did close the week despite a weekday on Friday. Closed above year to date, anchored VWAP, that red line, anchored VWAP from off of the high and trying to push out of this volume shelf, which has been built out over the course of the year. Still looking for it to get above and challenge those prior highs, 316, 319, those levels that would come next if it's able to push above and make some progress. We also have FFTY, which came in, and you're again dancing right around that $50 pivot. So we'll have to see if it can push out of there. Came in on Friday. You do have 10, 20, 50 cloud setting up just below. Volume pulled back here late last week, so maybe can get back above that $50 pivot. What's interesting, if you look at PDP, momentum right there at new highs. So those that have been hot, staying hot as the momentum has carried right into new highs. Let's get right into the watch list. First up, EVRI. Like the way this one's setting up, just below the standard pivot here at 25.90. Zoom in a little bit. You've got a handle now to go along with this cup. Descending trend line there. You break that descending trend line, gives early entry opportunity to clear that standard pivot of 25.90. Again, this is EVRI, Every Holdings. I also have, let's take a look at Talos. We discussed a few of these energy ones on Friday. Here's another one, falling wedge. This is Talos Energy, TALO, right into the 50-65 cloud there. Year to date, anchored VWAP is right there. You have a volume shelf too that's built out just above. So it can push back above, you'd be in the pinch. And a lot of times on these falling wedge or flag type patterns, when they do come out of there, they come out of there with some power. So we'll see if energy gets a lift. We talked last week about a few other ones, ROCC and SD, DEN. So energy looking good into next week. Also have Mimecast, MIME. This was, I believe it was S&P 600 inclusion, and now you're right there at anchored VWAP from this big gap. Kind of looks like power earnings gap. It's not earnings, however. It was on news, but it's the same way that we approach it. So let me bring volume by price over so you can see. Let's come right over here. You'll see that volume shelf that's built out right there, and you're right up against it. So on any strength from here, clear that volume shelf, turn that anchored VWAP from off of the gap back to the upside. You have power 3 setting up too. If it goes sideways a little bit, may let this catch up. Otherwise, using that volume shelf anchored VWAP to manage risk gives early entry 71.45. The pivot above, like it on strength. Did have a good close there late on Friday. Also have this one worth keeping an eye on. We got to zoom out a little bit here. Purely from a technical perspective, there's also heavy options activity here. Descending trend line off of the highs there. You're right at the volume shelf. If you look at the anchored VWAP, from off of the swing low, and that was a gap down right here where it recovered, and then that volume really started to pick up and come in, found support there again. You have the moving average clouds getting real tight there. Just want to see if it can push through the descending trend line. If it pushes through the descending trend line, do have anchored VWAP off of the high and off of the breakout back here. To keep in mind, that level may act as resistance, but like I said, heavy call flow into the name too. So just want to see if that can get above that trend line out of the pinch and make some upside progress. I also have, let's take a look at skin. We have anchored VWAP from off of the gap back here, holding as support several times, came up, tried to test that standard pivot a couple times Thursday and Friday, 28.37. That pivot wasn't able to push through. You've pulled back. You've got 1020 cloud just below, the volume shelf building out there as well. Maybe this comes in another time or two this week. Give us an inside day or a little more sideways action. Allow that 50, 65, and 1020 cloud turn up a little bit further, but want to keep it on your radar in case it does decide to clear that 28.37 pivot. Keep in mind, shared a bunch of setups on Friday, CFLT, those energy ones we discussed. Also took a look at PGNY. Those were in the Friday video, so add them to these and should be in a good shape with a watch list into next week. Hope you have a great trading week, and I will see you over on FinTwit.